Chapter 337. Yihua walked out of the room, then went to the bar counter and poured himself a cup of wine. Not long after, Donghuang Baiji came out with Yizizi, who had a gloomy look on her face. Today, Yizizi was meticulously dressed up by Donghuang Baiji. Yizizi was wearing a pink princess dress, a ponytail that was tied with a big butterfly knot, and she was even wearing a pair of extremely long white socks. These are white silk socks, right? With a pair of pink leather shoes on her feet, she looked like a little princess from a fairy tale, or a character from a two-dimensional world. Seeing that Yihua was secretly drinking wine, Donghuang Baiji advised, "Don't drink wine on an empty stomach." Yihua kept the wine bottle and hugged onto his wife's waist. Yihua had a look of, "This woman is mine, you guys can just go ahead and be envious of her." Yizizi was very depressed as she was being held by Donghuang Baiji. "My depraved life is going to end soon. In the future, I still have to sleep early and wake up early. To a lazy person like me, this is simply torture." It was still the same Audi A8. The Empress was driving, Yihua was sitting at the side, and Yizizi was sitting at the back seat with a face full of melancholy. Yizizi was swinging her legs in boredom, and her scarlet red eyes were looking left and right. "Give me a dozen of these cute lolas." Yihua pointed to a fried dough stick stall at the roadside. "Baiji, let's stop for breakfast first." "Yes." After parking the car, the three of them got out to have breakfast. Most people thought that they were a family of three. The man was handsome, the woman was beautiful, and the child was a loli. This family's appearance was almost out of the sky. "Boss, give me 5 fried dough sticks and 3 bowls of porridge first." Yihua shouted towards the boss. From the looks of it, the boss was also a regular customer. "All right, wait a moment. I'll blow it up for you right away." The three sat down. Donghuang Baiji wiped her chopsticks and placed them beside Yihua. When all the fried dough sticks were served, Yihua soaked the fried dough sticks in the congee, then ate it. Yihua felt great. Then, he ate a mouthful of pickled vegetables. Donghuang Baiji's table manners were much more elegant, just like Qinya. Yizizi was so angry that she couldn't eat anymore. "You are still throwing a tantrum," Yihua said while looking at Yizizi. "Big cousin, I can go to school, but I have a request," Yizizi pouted and said. "What?" "I want to buy a Ferrari." Yihua, looking at Yizizi's expression, Yihua laughed lightly. "Can I buy a plane for you?" "No, I want a Ferrari." "I'll buy you an aircraft carrier." "No, I want the Ferrari. I, the Supreme Overlord, don't even have a car, and all of the money that I won was taken by Qinya. I will give you 700 renminbi for your living expenses for a week, and this time, when Qinya comes back, I will definitely have a family meeting. At the very least, I have to give her half of the money that I won. I shouldn't have given all of it to Qinya. Alright, after you finish registering, I will bring you to buy a Ferrari," Yihua said faintly. Yizizi was delighted. "Really?" Yihua nodded his head. "You actually believe my words? You are too young." Donghuang Baiji did not say anything. How could Yihua possibly have the money to buy a car? The reason why Donghuang Baiji and I cut off her husband's source of income wasn't because we wanted to save money, we just wanted Yihua to go out and have a walk, and not stay at home all day. Inyu Elementary School was one of the key elementary schools in the city. It was said that the entrance exam questions were very difficult, and even some adults couldn't answer them. Today was the registration day, and there were a lot of parents who brought their children to the school, and all of them were dressed up beautifully. Donghuang Baiji parked the car not far away, and the three of them walked over. Yihua took out a cigarette and lit it up. Donghuang Baiji asked faintly, "Yihua, where did you get this cigarette from?" "Ah. I picked it up from the bar counter in the morning." Yihua suddenly had an idea. Dong Huang Baiji stretched out her hand, and Yihua helplessly passed the cigarette to the empress. You are already preparing to have a child, don't smoke. Dong Huang Baiji persuaded. Yihua was also very vexed. What does smoking have to do with giving birth to a child? Isn't Ollie still smart? This is just a precaution. In my eyes, there is no what if. Yihua said disdainfully. Looking at Yihua who was smoking, Dong Huang Baiji decided not to argue anymore, because the Yihua who is smoking, this world is already his. Just like the other parents, the mother was holding on to the child, and the father was sizing up the place. Yihua was the same as well. This school is just a so-so. I hope that Yizizi will be able to pass the test. The trio attracted a lot of people's attention. This was a combination of good looks. The whole family was so outstanding. A lot of children were looking at Yizizi. Such a cute girl, I must chase after her. Following the documents that Lai Gu provided, Yihua found the teaching director. This teaching director was very honest, and respectfully brought Yihua to the classroom. Yihua received his textbook, school bag, and school uniform. Yizizi helplessly carried her heavy school bag and was unhappy. The boys in the surrounding classes all ran over to look at Yizizi, and the boys in Yizizi's class were even more excited. I didn't expect that there would be a new student in my class. She is so cute. The girls also revealed envious expressions. She is so cute. Class monitor, this girl is so cute. She is even cuter than the prettiest girl in our class. A child in the classroom said to the class monitor. The class monitor was called Lu Chuanfeng. He was a very awesome primary school student, and beside him was his little brother, Wang Ji. Lu Chuanfeng had already noticed Yizizi long ago, and he was even more attracted by Yizizi's beauty. She is even more beautiful than his big sisters. Let's talk about it when school starts tomorrow. Lu Chuanfeng said deeply. He did not look like a child at all, and his expression looked more like that of an adult. That's right, Lu Chuanfeng's body was indeed that of an adult. It was just that he had reincarnated into the body of a child, causing him to feel very depressed. The pain was short and powerless. Yizizi looked at the primary school students in the classroom and wished that she could kill them all. Mr. Yi, the procedures have been completed. Just bring the child to school tomorrow, the dean said politely. Up until now, Yizizi's performance has been pretty good, and she did not cause any trouble for me. After Yizizi left, everyone in the class started to talk about this new student. She's so cute, I like those two ponytails back in the car. Yizizi put down her bag and said, I want a Ferrari. Baiji, bring her to buy a Ferrari. Yihua said faintly. Dong Huang Baiji was helpless. This fellow will definitely have to fork out his own money. However, Dong Huang Baiji was wrong, and Yizizi was also wrong. Looking at the bicycle shop in front of him, Yihua said faintly, pick one yourself. When the time comes, big cousin will carve the 3 words Ferrari on your bicycle. The corner of Yizizi's mouth twitched violently. Then, she pouted and said, big cousin. You're lying. You still want a Ferrari. Do you have a driver's license? Your height won't even be as high as the steering wheel. Yihua shouted out coldly. This is too outrageous, not as obedient as my daughter. Just how did I bring her up in the past, to let her develop so many bad habits? She revealed a smile, but she still didn't say anything, as if she had a language disorder. If Yihua were to find out that the aunt was giving Yizizi free food, he would definitely come over to argue with Yihua. Why can't I, the supreme overlord, do it for free? Yizizi was in a much better mood as she held the piping hot fruit pancake in her hand. She skipped toward the bus stop. There were still many people waiting for the bus. The pancakes made by the auntie were really delicious. Yizizi got on the bus while eating her pancake and stuffed 1 yuan into the driver's pocket. As the bus moved forward, the number of people on the bus increased. Yizizi sat in her seat and looked out of the window. "Little friend, hurry up and give me your seat," a middle-aged woman with a wavy hairstyle said to Yizizi. Her tone was very domineering. Yizizi turned to look at the woman, then looked out the window. "Ah! Little friend, you are very impolite. Everyone, quickly come and take a look." Upon seeing that, the middle-aged woman immediately started using all kinds of moral coercion on Yizizi. Yizizi's face was very tense. She really wanted to slap the middle-aged woman who was making noise in front of her to death. In actuality, Yizizi's patience wasn't that good. As long as the enemy used a bit of provocation, Yizizi would fall for it. At this time, an old man stood out and said, "How can you be like this? You are so young, yet you are already taking advantage of your seniority. You have hands and feet, yet you are still bullying an immature child." After being said by the old man, the middle-aged woman seemed to be embarrassed. Furthermore, the surrounding people were also discussing spiritedly. "In the past, I used this trick every time I used it, but today, it doesn't work anymore." In actuality, Yizizi's forbearing look, in the eyes of other people, looked like she was helpless. She looked very pitiful, and no one had the heart to scold this little girl. "Old man, what does this have to do with you? If you have the ability, why don't you ask her to give you her seat?" The middle-aged woman was unconvinced and appeared to be very sharp and unkind. Yizizi suddenly stood up and pulled on to the old man. The meaning behind her action was very obvious. The old man smiled kindly and said, "No need, Grandpa's body is great." Yizizi shook her head and pointed to the seat. With a smile on his face, the old man sat down and said to the middle-aged woman, "Look at this child, why is she so impolite? But you are the one who is impolite." The middle-aged woman was slapped in the face by her own words, and she felt extremely embarrassed. When the bus stopped, she got off the bus. Yizizi used her brain. If Yi Hua knew about this, he would definitely be very gratified. Don't think that this is just a small matter of giving up her seat. If it was used in other places, the effect would be extraordinary. Yi Hua's goal could be considered to have been achieved. "Little friend, where are you going?" Seeing that Yizizi was wearing a school uniform, the old man asked curiously. Yizizi had a bit of a favorable impression towards this old man, in Yu Elementary School. The old man went into a daze and said hurriedly, "Little friend, you are taking the wrong bus, you are taking the 118 bus." "Oh." Yizizi replied indifferently. "So it turns out that I took the wrong bus. Should I be anxious? Or should I be sad? I might as well skip school, that should be very happy." Seeing that Yizizi's behavior was different from other children, the old man asked concernedly, "You don't know how to get to school?" Yizizi shook her head. "Where are your father and mother?" Yizizi shook her head. "My own parents. They should be dead right." The old man was also very worried and decided to send Yizizi to school. After arriving at the bus stop, the old man brought Yizizi to the correct bus. Yizizi felt that the old man was very strange. Why does he care about my matters? Does he not need to do anything? He is so bored. Half an hour later, they arrived at Yu Elementary School. Right now, it was already 7:50 p.m., and the gates of the school were all closed. Yizizi was late for the first day of school. "What are you guys doing?" The security guard at the entrance shouted out. The old man smiled and said, "The child took the wrong bus, that's why he is late." The security guard looked at Yizizi, who had a cold expression on her face. "Since she is wearing a school uniform, she should be from this school. Go in, don't be late next time." The old man smiled and said to Yizizi, "Quickly go in." Yizizi wrinkled her brows, as if she was making a difficult choice. "Thank you." After saying that, Yizizi ran into the school. Chapter 339. In actuality, Yi Zizi was still affected by Dong Huangli. Dong Huangli was very polite. Even when they were playing games, Dong Huangli would still say, "I'm sorry, I'm going to kill you." Or, "Thank you for letting me kill you." Therefore, the current environment made Yi Zizi feel different. Thinking back to the past, in that kind of environment, it was a competition to see who could kill more people, and the topic was always blood. Carrying her school bag, Yi Zizi walked on the small path of the school. The students upstairs looked at her curiously. At this time, she was not in the classroom, but outside. Wasn't she afraid of being scolded by the teacher? Yi Zizi, on the other hand, didn't mind and walked toward her class. Yi Zizi noticed a woman speaking at the podium. She ignored her and walked into the classroom, sitting in the last row of the classroom. All the students stared at Yi Zizi with their mouths agape. How awesome! She didn't even put the form teacher in her eyes and directly walked in. Teacher Ma was an outstanding primary school teacher, but in his more than 20 years of teaching, this was the first time he had seen such an arrogant student. This was only the second grade of primary school. If they were in junior high or senior high school, it would be amazing. Moreover, this child is so beautiful. I must pull her towards the right path and not take any detours. Class president, this girl is so strong. She's not even afraid of the homeroom teacher, Wang Qi secretly said to Lu Chuanfeng with a look of admiration. Lu Chuanfeng didn't feel anything. After all, he had the mind of an adult in his body. He said, "Yes, very powerful." Yi Zizi stuffed her bag into the drawer, then rested her chin on her hands and waited for school to end. Teacher Ma kept staring at Yi Zizi, seemingly wanting to intimidate her with his aura so that she would become obedient. However, Yi Zizi didn't feel anything at all. She was still yawning. Teacher Ma is very angry. There has never been a student who can escape my deep gaze. Classmate Yi Zizi. Hearing someone calling her name, Yi Zizi looked at the woman on the podium and realized that the woman was staring at her. Was he provoking him? As his honor's subordinate, how can I be afraid of a challenge? Yi Zizi glared at him, and Mr. Ma took a step back. What a powerful little girl. He had been in the profession for more than 20 years, yet he was frightened by the little girl's eyes today. How infuriated. Yi Zizi, today is the first day of school. Why are you late? Teacher Ma changed his strategy and questioned. Yi Zizi didn't say anything. She didn't want to talk to anyone. The teacher is asking you a question. Teacher Ma shouted. Yi Zizi still didn't say anything. She was still sleeping on the table. This infuriated Teacher Ma. Call your parents over. I've never seen such a child before. It's too infuriating. Yi Zizi still did not have any reaction. After using all kinds of tricks, Teacher Ma walked to Yi Zizi with a gloomy face. Yi Zizi. Yi Zizi. No reaction, no reaction, this stubborn brat. Teacher Ma hurriedly went to find the phone number of the child's parents. He had to talk to them. Right now, Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji had just woken up. Right after brushing their teeth, Yi Hua received a call from his teacher. Baiji, I will make a trip to school. Yi Hua said gravely. This is the first day, and you are already being dishonest. Dong Huang Baiji was currently washing up, and when she heard that Yi Hua was going to school, she thought to herself that it was definitely because of Yi Zizi. Yi Hua, wait for me, let's go together. Dong Huang Baiji was still worried, and she felt that it would be better for her to tag along with them. The two of them didn't even eat breakfast and directly rushed to the school. In the office, Teacher Ma stared at Yi Zizi while Yi Zizi looked out of the window with a worried look. At this moment, Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji rushed over. When Yi Hua saw Yi Zizi's attitude, his anger soared. To actually go against the Supreme Overlord, Yi Hua's guts were getting bigger and bigger. Yi Zizi, see if I don't beat you to death today. After speaking, Yi Hua immediately rushed forward. The surrounding teachers were all stupefied by Yihua's attitude. This is not an act, this is for real. To even be able to help a child like that, you are completely inhumane. Donghuang Baiji pulled onto Yihua. Yihua, no matter how immature Zizi is, you still can't hit him. Baiji, let go of me. Today, I will definitely beat this fellow to death. Yihua shouted out angrily. Yi Zizi appeared to be very scared. She retreated to the corner of the wall and trembled. Originally, he wanted to talk to the parent, but he didn't expect the parent to be even more violent. No wonder the child's personality was like that. He was afraid of being beaten up. Don't be agitated. In fact, Yi Zizi didn't do anything. She was just late today, Teacher Ma hurriedly comforted. Yihua went into a daze. Not only did he not ease up, he even said coldly, Yi Zizi, you dare to be late. What did I teach you? You must have a sense of time. Today, I will definitely beat you to death. Thinking back, Yi Zizi would often be late to battles. The reason for that was because she had overslept and didn't have a sense of time at all. Facing his honor's anger, Yi Zizi shrunk into a corner and looked very pitiful. Teacher Ma turned pale with fright. I didn't expect that a small amount of being late would make him so angry. Wouldn't Yi Zizi be beaten to death when she returns to school? Don't be angry, student Yi Zizi had already explained just now. Last night, she revised until very late, and today, she even helped an old granny to cross the road, which is why she was late. She is a good child, she is worthy of praise. Teacher Ma's attitude really changed 180 degrees. Yihua looked at Yi Zizi, seemingly asking if what the teacher said was true or not. Yi Zizi nodded her head fearfully. All right, let go of me. Yihua said to Donghuang Baiji who was beside him. Donghuang Baiji was helpless. I didn't expect that Yihua's attitude towards Yi Zizi would be so explosive. Yihua looked at Teacher Ma who was in front of him and said faintly, if Yi Zizi dares to act recklessly in school, give me a call, I will go back tonight and properly take care of her. Teacher Ma's expression stiffened as he persuaded that hitting a child won't solve the problem. If you don't hit her, she won't learn her lesson. I will remember it. After finished speaking, Yihua left with Donghuang Baiji. All of the teachers who were present let out a breath of relief. This parent's temper is too big, we are really worried for this child. This child is so adorable, it is possible that there are injuries all over her body. Teacher Ma sighed, Yi Zizi, go back to class. Yi Zizi did not say anything and silently walked out of the office. This is so boring, his honor's acting skills are too weak, he looked like he was going to hit me, but he was held back by sister-in-law. This is too fake. However, this is also good, that Teacher Ma won't casually complain about me in the future. Yihua who was sitting back in the car was very angry. Yi Zizi is too unruly. Yihua, what happened today? Why are you so angry today? Donghuang Baiji was very puzzled. Yihua sighed lightly, nothing much, let's go back home. Seeing that Yihua wasn't willing to talk about it, Donghuang Baiji didn't continue asking. She felt that Yihua had quite a lot of secrets on him. She wanted to ask about it, but she was afraid that Yihua would get angry. Meanwhile, Qingye who was far away in Zijin City was very puzzled. Regarding the auction that night, everyone's attitude was suspicious, especially Xiao Yi. That attitude of his was completely filled with unwillingness. Chapter 340. These 2 days, Qingye and her sister had been accompanying their mother and did not go out at all. Meanwhile, after Chu Bai sent the 2 ladies back that night, he immediately returned to the Chu family. He reported the scandal of Yi Tai and Song Huang to the Chu family. The Chu family was furious. They didn't expect that Yi Tai and Song Huang would actually surround and kill their son. For this kind of matter, justice must be sought. Yi family naturally wouldn't believe such a one-sided story. Thus, Yi family sent people to look for Yi Tai and Song Huang. However, up till now, Yi Tai and Song Huang were still not found. Within Qing family's villa, Qing Yutong was currently hugging on to Dong Huangli, and the two of them were currently watching Happy Home. It was fine that Dong Huangli was focused, but Qing Yutong was the same as well. From time to time, Qing Yutong and Dong Huangli would discuss the plot of the movie and which sheep would be eaten first. Qing Ye sat at the side and pondered. Yutong, did you contact Sage Doctor? Wang Muqing asked tenderly. Qing Yutong smiled. Mom, why would Sage Doctor take a fancy to me? He has not contacted me for a long time. Silly child, if he doesn't contact you, you can contact him. Qing Yutong immediately became speechless. My mother is so snobbish. Zihan asked, Yeah, are you in contact with Qin Xuanzong? Qing Ye couldn't come back to her senses. Yeah, Zihan called out. Mom. What's wrong? Qing Ye came back to her senses and asked. Just now, she was thinking about something. Zihan sighed. What are you thinking about? Oh, nothing. What's wrong? Have you met with Qin Xuanzong? Zihan asked. Qing Ye wrinkled her brows. From the looks of it, my mother has taken a fancy to Qin Xuanzong. Mother, I am a married woman, is it all right for you to do this? Zihan sighed helplessly. The two mothers looked at each other, and their eyes were full of depression. Standing up, Qing Ye said lightly, I will go and buy a roast duck. Yutong, do you want to go with me? Qing Yutong was not interested in buying roast duck. Not going, you can go by yourself. Ollie, are you going? Qing Ye asked. Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, Ollie won't go. All right, since the two of you aren't going, I will go by myself then. Qing Ye appeared to be depressed, but in actuality, she was smiling in her heart. This is a move of retreating in order to advance. After all, they were Yi Hua's eyes. Just now, if I were to directly say it out, Qing Yutong would definitely be doubtful. Thus, I decided to ask first, and let my little sister let down her guard. Sure enough. Qing Ye did not change her clothes. Wearing a t-shirt and jeans, she casually took a car key and left the house. Qing Yutong, this 007, did not fulfill his duty. Because Qing Ye planned to pay a visit to Xiao family, she wanted to know why Xiao Yi suddenly returned the money. In actuality, this question had been perplexing Qing Ye for a very long time. When Xiao Yi appeared respectfully, Qing Ye became even more curious. Since Yi Hua isn't willing to tell me, I'll just go and ask him myself. Due to Qing Yutong's negligence, the originally tranquil family's disturbance once again seemed to be stirred up. Qing Ye drove a BMW 740 and headed straight towards Xiao family. 40 minutes later, Qing Ye stopped the car outside of Xiao Mansion. Looking at this Xiao Mansion, Qing Ye was rather shocked. This Xiao Mansion sure is imposing. Yi Hua is much more low profile. Yi Hua had gotten used to it, and that was why he decided to change his taste. Miss, what's the matter? The guard at the entrance of the Xiao Mansion asked. Qing Ye said faintly, I am looking for Xiao Yi. I dare to name you, Mississippi, Qing Ye. Miss, please wait a moment. As he spoke, the guard went to register and soon returned. Xiao Yi himself also came out to greet him. CEO Qing. Xiao Yi smiled and greeted. CEO Xiao. Qing Ye smiled gently. Xiao Yi hurriedly invited Qing Ye into the house. The two of them walked into the courtyard of Xiao Mansion, and while listening to the sound of flowing water, Qing Ye said, CEO Xiao, the environment here is really unique. It's all right, these are all the masterpieces of the wives. Xiao Yi followed beside Qing Ye. If one were to observe carefully, Xiao Yi's attitude was that of accompanying Qingye, and not that of a master. Even Qingye was able to sense this point. CEO Xiao is so fortunate to have so many wives. Qingye smiled and said. Fortunately, Yihua isn't like this. Xiao Yi said, this Xiao's luck is rather good to be able to obtain their love. CEO Qing, how about we go inside and have a cup of tea? Qingye nodded her head. Soon after, the two of them arrived at the main hall. Shu Nan personally brewed tea and served it, and when Xiao Yi's wives found out that Qingye had come, they all came out to greet Qingye. The topic of conversation revolved around the trivial matters of the family, and Xiao Yi was curious about the meaning behind Qingye's sudden visit. Looking at Yu Qi's bulging belly, Qingye said to Xiao Yi, congratulations to CEO Xiao for becoming a father. Xiao Yi was naturally happy. This child is very mischievous. Qingye touched her belly, and this action of hers was seen by Shu Nan. CEO Qing is pregnant. Qingye appeared to be very happy as she nodded her head slightly. That's right, I have been pregnant for a few months already. It was only recently that my belly had a big reaction. Congratulations to CEO Qing, I wish that you will be blessed with a child. Same to you. Qingye said courteously. When the topic of conversation reached here, everyone seemed to be a bit awkward and didn't know what to say. Meanwhile, Qingye discovered a strange matter. Why is Nangong Sini missing from Xiao Yi's wives? CEO Xiao, where did Madame Nangong go? Why don't I see her? When Qingye said that, the expressions of Xiao Yi and his wives froze. Qingye was very sensitive right now, and she immediately discovered the strangeness in their expressions. Could it be that something happened to Nangong Sini? Suddenly, a female servant appeared with a child. Daddy, let's go and play football. The child was precisely Xiao Yi's son, Xiao Yun. Xiao Yi revealed out a loving smile. Yun, there is a guest at home, this is Aunt Qing. Xiao Yun was very courteous as he shouted towards Qingye, hello, Aunt Qing. This child looks really good. Qingye asked with a smile, whose child is this? Shu Nan said with a smile, this is big sister Nangong's child. Qingye waved her hand, and Xiao Yun walked in front of Qingye. I feel that this aunt in front of me is really beautiful. Little fellow, where did your mother go? Qingye asked curiously. Xiao Yun's little face collapsed. Daddy said that mommy went out on a business trip, and it will be a long time before she comes back. After finished speaking, Xiao Yun immediately missed his mother. He pounced into his father's embrace and shouted, Daddy, Yun misses mommy, can you bring me to see mommy? The corner of Xiao Yi's mouth slightly trembled, and his complexion was very abnormal. Yu Qi, bring Yun down to sleep. Xiao Yi said gravely. Xiao Yun immediately started bawling loudly, clamoring for his mother. Only after a few maids came over and carried Xiao Yun away did the bawling sound not stop. Right now, Qingye was very sure that something happened to Nangong Sini, and Xiao Yi had sealed this matter. CEO Xiao, actually, I came here today because I have a matter that I want to ask you. Qingye said. Xiao Yi nodded his head. Qingye asked faintly, that 50 billion from back then, why did you suddenly return it? Why did you return it? The memories of everyone in Xiao family were pulled back to that night. Facing against the incomparably valiant skeleton, what else could they do? Not only did they have to return the money, they also had to return a life. To Xiao Yi, the blow that night was too heavy. His beloved was forced to death by the skeleton, and what was laughable was that in the end, he still went to beg them, and even helped his enemy. Thinking about such a matter, Xiao Yi clenched his fists tightly, and spiritual energy gradually spread out from his body. At the same time, spiritual energy was also emitted out from his body. Cough, cough, cough. Shu Nan lightly coughed a few times, reminding her husband to be careful. Chapter 341. Xiao Yi gradually retracted his fierce aura, but from Qingya's point of view, this was all an act. Even the words that he was going to say later were all fake. CEO Qing, regarding the matter last time, this Xiao is sorry. I did not fulfill my promise in time. This Xiao is ashamed. I hope that CEO Qing can be magnanimous enough to forgive me. With that, Xiao Yi even stood up and cupped his hands, expressing his apology. My money is gone, my beloved wife was forced to death, I still have to be ordered by the enemy, and now, I still have to apologize for this matter. What is going on with this world? Qingya was originally just curious, wanting to see what kind of tricks Yihua played to make those people who looked down on her change their temperament. Of course, she was happy in her heart. After all, Yihua did it all for her, not letting her get hurt or be looked down upon by others. Having a husband who cared about her like this, Qingya felt that she was very happy. But from the looks of it now, the matter doesn't seem to be that simple. Thinking of Yihua's strength, could it be that he used violence? The Xiao family had used violence, and the others had been frightened. Qingya didn't want to continue asking, because she was afraid of finding out some bad things. After all, the awakening of her bloodline made her have a strange pity or benevolence. This Queen Yua's duty was to protect the common people. She wouldn't be soft-hearted towards evil, but towards the weak, she would feel pity. Thus, Qingya didn't want to continue asking. She stood up and said with a smile, CEO Xiao must be joking, that is all in the past. I still have some matters at home, I won't disturb you anymore. CEO Qing, I will send you out. Xiao Yi forced a smile and said. Qingya nodded her head. However, just as Qingya was about to leave, Yuqi suddenly knelt on the ground and begged, CEO Qing, please save our Xiao family. A pregnant woman knelt on the ground and begged. This made Qingya, who was preparing to leave, change her expression. Just what happened to make these people so hesitant? Looking at the panic on their faces, it was as if they had received a huge shock. Yuqi, what are you doing? Quickly get up. Xiao Yi shouted coldly. Yuqi's action was no less than self-immolation. The current situation was very clear. Qingya didn't know about those matters at all. If the mastermind was the bar's boss, then he would have concealed it. But with this kneeling, everything would be exposed. Then why did the boss have to conceal it? Wasn't it just because he was afraid that Qingya would know some shady matters? If this matter was exposed, the Xiao family would face terrifying consequences. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan did not dare to continue thinking about it. But what could Yuqi do? She was just an ordinary woman who was pregnant with a child. During this period of time, she was on tenterhooks, afraid that what happened that night would happen again. It didn't matter if she died. She was worried about her child. As a mother, it wasn't wrong to plead for the life of the child in her womb, right? Yuqi, get up. Shu Nan tried to persuade her. Stop talking. Yuqi, who was always on tenterhooks, was actually a bit depressed. She directly kneeled in front of Qingya and grabbed onto Qingya's ankle. CEO Qing, I beg you to spare my child's life. He is innocent. Xiao Yi shouted in a deep voice, bring Yuqi to her room to rest. All the lovely wives stood up, and suddenly all knelt on the ground, and begged with their tender voices, CEO Qing, please let our Xiao family go. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan were both stunned. Just like Yuqi, Xiao Yi's other wives were also very worried. They were afraid that something would happen to their husbands. Now that Qingya was here, they had no choice but to try their best. They thought that as long as they begged Qingya, they wouldn't make things difficult for Xiao family. But what they didn't know was that Yihua didn't say anything about this matter, and he didn't plan to say anything. To Yihua at that time, not massacring Xiao family was already very lenient, and he even felt that there was no need to say such a small matter. Looking at the actions of Xiao Yi's wives, Qingya's eyebrows wrinkled deeply. Just what did Yihua do to make them kneel on the ground and beg for mercy? No wonder Xiao Yi's attitude was so good, now I finally know. All of you, get up. Qingya said gravely. All the lovely wives were crying non-stop. That kind of pressure of living under a haze every day made their hearts hurt. Qingya sat on the chair at the side, while Xiao Yi sat on the main seat with a gloomy face. What else can we do now? We have already been exposed, we can only rely on Qingya now. Just what happened? Qingya asked faintly. Everyone remained silent and looked at Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi took a deep breath, then opened his bloodshot eyes and said, "This matter has to start from that bet." Qingya nodded her head, "That is indeed the case. CEO Qing, I didn't want to pay back the money that bet, which was why someone came to my door and fought with me. In the end, I still lost. Not only did I pay back the money, I also paid back a person's life." Xiao Yi said it very casually, but when he thought of his beloved wife's death, his heart felt as if it was being twisted by a knife. Qingya was very shocked and said in disbelief, "A person's life is Nangong Sinis." Xiao Yi nodded his head. "My beloved wife was forced to her death. He said that this was the interest, and he wanted me to choose one of my women to die with." The crying sound of women rang out in the hall. The situation back then was so sad and helpless, and they could only watch helplessly as Nangong Sini fell in front of them. Qingya was very shocked. It is normal to ask for a debt, but to force a person to her death, I am a little unable to tolerate this kind of method. Who is the person that you all are talking about? Qingya's question was a little nervous. Please don't say it is Yihua. Yihua would never do such a heinous thing. Xiao Yi didn't speak carelessly, it is a skeleton that is wearing a black robe. Qingya let out a breath of relief. Fortunately, it is not Yihua, although my Yihua likes to act cool, he is not to the extent of doing such a thing. There is also a lump of black fog. Yu Qi added. A lump of black fog? Qingya asked puzzledly. Xiao Yi explained, that lump of black fog seems to be the owner of the black robe. Xiao Yi hurriedly shut his mouth, I can't say any more. What happened to them? Qingya asked coldly. They are very strong, but they seem to be obeying someone. Right now, Xiao Yi could only place all of his hopes on Qingya. Even if Xiao Yi didn't say it, Qingya would be able to guess it. After all, Yihua had taken out those transfer agreements back then, and the person behind the black robe should be Yihua. Right now, Qingya's mood was very complicated, and she didn't know what to do. Why would Yihua use such a method to step on someone's debt? Is this still the Yihua that I know? Doesn't he just like to smoke, drink, and brag? Why would he choose to force a woman to her death? What about a mother? Qingya was really unable to understand. Did this black robe do anything else? Qingya asked gravely. Withdrawing from the aristocratic family selection this time was also the black robe's order. Xiao Yi said bluntly. Why don't you talk about the matter of the black robe helping you? Do you know the consequences of this? Chapter 342. I heard that this black gown even did something improper to Cloud's sect master, causing Cloud's sect master to be chased out of the sect. When an ancient godly item appeared in the south, the black gown was also present. Illicit affairs. Qingya's expression sunk. Not only did Yihua's subordinate force a mother to death, he even harmed a woman. Is this matter related to Yihua or not? Is it his subordinate's misbehavior, or did he get Yihua's permission? Qingya would rather believe that the black gown was the one who did it, and that Yihua didn't know about it at all. I understand, you guys can be at ease. Qingya seemed to have a lot on her mind, and after finished speaking, she walked out of the hall. Xiao Yi hurriedly followed after her and sent Qingya out. Looking at Qingya leaving, Xiao Yi's thoughts were very complicated. I really don't know if this matter is right or wrong. I feel that Xiao family's fate is hanging in the balance once again. Qingye didn't directly return home. Instead, she bought a roast duck before returning home. Big sister, why did you take so long to buy a roast duck? We are about to starve to death. Qin Yutong hugged onto Dong Huangli and played around. The two mothers shook their heads. They are already so old, yet they are acting like children. Aunt Qing, Ali's stomach is about to shrivel up. Dong Huangli rubbed onto her stomach and said while giggling. Qingye smiled, quickly let Aunt touch your stomach, there was a traffic jam on the road just now, so I was late. Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at her big sister, you already gambled for 2 hours, you couldn't have met your lover, right? Qingye knocked onto her little sister's head, just eat your roast duck. Zihan's eyes shone. Could it be that I went to meet Chen Xuanzong just now? I already bought a roast duck as my name, that's great. Qingye, who returned home, seemed very normal, there wasn't the slightest bit of abnormality. Because right now, Qingye felt that Yi Hua was wronged, he wouldn't do such a thing. However, she didn't dare to question Yi Hua directly, fearing that she would get a different answer. If that happened, she really wouldn't know what to do, this damned bloodline effect. Time passed by just like this, day after day. A week passed by in the blink of an eye. Yi Tai and Song Huang were still nowhere to be found. No one knew where they went. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. This made the Yi family's clan leader, Yi Shao, feel a little uneasy. Meanwhile, Voidless Realm also released the results of the selection, and Voidless Realm allowed Tang family to participate in the selection. This caused Bai family to go crazy from anger. In order to avoid any casualties, Voidless Realm warned Tang family and Bai family that before the results of the election were revealed, fighting was not allowed, and those who violated the rules would be eliminated from the election. To the Tang clan, this was a good thing. But to the Bai clan, it was like adding snow to snow. Originally, Qingye had said that she would be able to go back in a week, but even after Qin Yutong had urged her to go back a few times, Qingye still said that she would be accompanying her parents, and in actuality, Qingye didn't dare to go back. Recently, Yi Zizi had become a lot more well-behaved. Yi Zizi was not late for school, and after school ended, she would go home. Yi Zizi also did not cause any trouble in school. This made Yi Hua rather happy, Yi Zizi had grown up. However, right now, Yi Hua was a bit gloomy. This Qingye doesn't even plan to return to her maiden home. However, with Donghuang Baiji accompanying Yi Hua every single day, Yi Hua's mood became slightly better. Just that, the plan to give birth to a child has yet to be carried out. Right now, Yi Hua wasn't anxious, but Donghuang Baiji was anxious. At least twice a day, she would ask Yi Hua, when are we going to have a child? Yi Hua was very smug. Look at how the Empress is begging for a child right now, yet I, the Supreme Overlord, refuse to give it to you. On this day, Yi Hua couldn't take it anymore. He took out his phone and gave a call to Qingye. You have to come back today, if not, I will go and catch you. Yi Hua gave a death order. I haven't seen Qingye for almost half a month, and I am starting to miss her. Hearing Yi Hua's familiar voice, Qingye said tenderly, all right, we will come back today. That's more like it. We will be having crayfish tonight. Qingye, after keeping his phone, Yi Hua laughed lightly. His mood was pretty good. After watching TV for a while, he went to pick up Qingye from the airport. Donghuang Baiji walked behind Yi Hua, then stretched out her slender hand and placed onto Yi Hua's shoulder. Qingye, are you going to come back? And, if you don't come back, I will have to catch you. Yi Hua smiled faintly. Donghuang Baiji said gently, all right, I'm jealous, oh. Empress is jealous. I want to see what she looks like. Hateful. After speaking, Yihua hugged the Empress in his embrace and started to take liberties with her. Meanwhile, the Empress was very vexed. This Yihua only ignites the fire, but doesn't extinguish the fire. Knowing that she was going to return home, Dong Guangli appeared to be very happy. I have had enough of staying in Zijin City for the past few days, and I miss my daddy and mommy. With regards to my two daughters wanting to return south, there is nothing I can do about it. Zihan and Wang Muqing sent their daughters to the airport and were reluctant to part with them. The next time I come back will be during Chinese New Year, right? On the other side, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji arrived at Long and City's airport to pick up Qinya. When Yihua saw the three of them walking out of the airport, a faint smile appeared on Yihua's face. After not seeing Qinya for almost half a month, Qinya is still so beautiful. Daddy, Mommy, upon seeing her parents, Dong Guangli sprinted over like a little Superman and directly threw herself into Yihua's embrace. While carrying his daughter, Yihua asked lightly, "Has Ollie been obedient these few days?" And Ollie has been very obedient. After speaking, Ollie kissed her father, then stretched out her hands towards her mother. Donghuang Baiji took over her daughter, and both mother and daughter were very affectionate towards each other. Meanwhile, Yihua looked towards Qinya. "Why aren't you coming into my embrace yet?" Qinya slowly walked to the front of Qinya, then hugged onto her husband's body and said tenderly, "Yihua, I missed you so much." This was probably the longest time the two had been apart. Lightly hugging onto Qinya, Yihua said tenderly, "I missed you too." Hearing Yihua's tone, Qinya felt a bit more at ease. After all, a man who is in love will not do that kind of thing. Qin Yutong, who was standing at the side, was very unhappy. Why isn't there anyone welcoming the baby? It was too inhumane. Seeing that his sister-in-law was standing at the side gloomily, Yihua let go of his wife and hugged his sister-in-law. Don't misunderstand, this is just brother-in-law's love for his sister-in-law. I, the Supreme Overlord, never lie. Qin Yutong became happy. I didn't get spanked by my brother-in-law for nothing, and immediately gave Qin Yutong a hug. Yihua took a look at the men in the surroundings and sneered in his heart. My luck with women is not something that you all can enjoy. The surrounding men who took the opportunity were very envious. This beauty was hugged by the same man. God was unfair. Yihua expressed that the effect of acting cool was not bad, and it was about time for him to go back. Come on, let's go home. His left hand was holding on to Qinya, his right hand was holding on to the Empress, and behind him was his sister-in-law. I am a winner in life. If anyone was dissatisfied, they could step forward and ask for guidance. I will teach you a lesson every minute. When Yihua returned back to Qinya Bar, it was already 7 p.m. Yihua knew that Qinya was going to come back soon, and thus, he decided to close the bar for the night. Yihua and his family were going to have a good meal together and enjoy this moment of reunion. When Qin Yutong saw Yi Zizi, who was wearing the school uniform, she immediately became furious. That smug look on Yi Zizi's face made even Yihua want to spank her, but, let alone Yi Zizi herself. Chapter 343. Daddy, I want more meat, more meat. Right now, Dong Guangli didn't even bother to peel the crayfish and directly finished off 2 big pieces of meat. Yihua drank the wine and said faintly, Ollie, you can't eat too much of this kind of meat. Dong Guangli pouted her small mouth and wrinkled her brows. Dong Guangli seemed to be saying that if you don't give it to me, I will cry. Of course, Yihua wouldn't spoil Ollie too much. After all, Ollie was still young, and Ollie could only eat in moderation. Seeing that her daddy was really not going to give her any more, Dong Guangli looked towards Qin Yutong and said, Aunt Qin, give some to Ollie. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong even picked up the plate and placed it in front of Qin Yutong, causing everyone to laugh endlessly. Ollie, you have to listen to daddy's words. Aunt Qin also came over like this. Next time, eat slower, and once you get used to it, you will be fine. Qin Yutong said with a smile, while protecting the meat on the plate. Stingy Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth and looked towards her mommy. Dong Huang Baiji naturally loved her daughter dearly, and just when she was about to give her daughter some, Yihua said faintly, Baiji. Since her husband had already spoken, Dong Huang Baiji was powerless to help. At the same time, she also knew that although the meat was good, it must be eaten in moderation. At the same time, Dong Huang Baiji was able to understand that Dong Huang Baiji shouldn't spoil the child too much. Dong Huangli became even more depressed. Ali is angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Everyone ignored him. A few minutes later, Dong Huangli could only acquiesce to the fact that Dong Huangli was right. Dong Huangli began peeling the crayfish, then began fawning on her daddy and mommy in various ways. Yihua was very gratified. My daughter is still sensible. Qinya, did anything happen during the past few days? Yihua asked. Qinya placed the prawn meat into Yihua's bowl and said tenderly, No, I just brought Ali to walk around. That old friend of yours didn't come to look for you. What Yihua mainly wanted to ask was this. After all, the title of Jealous King in the cultivation world isn't just randomly given. Qinya laughed lightly, with a jealous king like you around, who would dare to look for me? Qinya, pay attention to your words, I am just concerned about you. Yihua said faintly. Jealous? Will I be jealous? Stop daydreaming. Even if this old man collapses, I, the Supreme Overlord, will not feel jealous. Alright, I am concerned about you. Qinya smiled helplessly. Seeing that Yi Zizi had become taciturn, Qinya asked curiously, Zizi, is going to school fun? I'm very happy, Yi Zizi said quietly. This sentence was too fake. At least smile. Ali wants to go to school too, and in the future, she wants to become a doctor. Dong Huangli shouted out. Yihua slightly wrinkled his brows. Why do you want to become a doctor? Because Ali wants to save the dying and heal the injured. Hearing that, Yihua felt that it was inappropriate. My daughter doesn't need to be saved. However, when Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji heard Dong Huang Baiji's words, the two wives felt very gratified. Yihua said indifferently, What's so good about being a doctor? In the future, Daddy will bring you along to conquer the world. Sure enough, upon hearing that, Dong Huangli became very excited. Daddy, when are we going to conquer the world? When Ali grows up, we'll go. Dong Huang Baiji smiled. Alright, Yihua, Ali is still so young, there's no need to teach her these things. This child will have to be picked up from when he is young. You all don't have to worry about him anymore. Yihua put on the airs of the head of a family. Everything will be decided by me. Using Yihua's words, the two of you will be responsible for taking good care of me, while I will stay at home and teach the child how to conquer the world. Speaking of the matter regarding the child, Qinya wanted to express her opinion. Yihua, Ali is still young right now, don't teach her some dangerous techniques. If an accident were to happen, the innocent would be harmed. Dong Huang Baiji still didn't know about this matter, and she asked confusedly, what technique? Dong Huangli began showing off as deviant flames appeared on all 10 of her fingers. Mommy, is it nice? Dong Huang Baiji was startled. Sensing the terrifying aura coming from the deviant flames, she hurriedly said, Ali, quickly put it away. Dong Huangli silently put away the deviant flames. Why do Mommy and the others have this kind of expression when they see my techniques? Daddy is the only one who looks happy. Yihua, this is too dangerous. If Ali isn't able to control it properly, something might happen. Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but mention this matter. To actually secretly teach Ali this technique. This deviant flame is an area of effect attack. If a child were to be able to control it properly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yihua said faintly, Ali is able to control it very well, I am very reassured. And Ali is very smart. Dong Wangli also wanted to make her mommy happy, just like how a student who scored 100 marks on a test wanted to be praised by their parents. Dong Wang Baiji wrinkled her brows and said, Ali, in the future, you can't casually use this technique, do you understand? Baiji, why can't Ali use this technique? Yehua asked gravely. My technique is bad. Dong Wang Baiji explained, Yehua, Ali is still young right now, don't teach her this kind of dangerous technique. What if someone gets hurt? Yehua placed down his chopsticks and said gravely, what's wrong with me teaching my child a powerful technique? This is also to allow Ali to have the ability to protect herself, why can't it be used by you too? Yihua shouted out angrily. Qinya and Dong Wang Baiji's bodies trembled. They didn't know why Yihua suddenly got angry. This is just a discussion about children, there is nothing wrong with it. The two wives didn't refute Yihua's anger, because they didn't want to quarrel over this matter. However, they still wanted to fight for it. Qinya begged in a low voice, Yihua, can you consider it for a bit? There's no need to think about it, this matter is decided, the family meeting will end here. Yihua said coldly, then stood up and prepared to go upstairs. Dong Huang Baiji let out a deep sigh, appearing to be very dispirited. Everything about Yihua is good, just that he is too overbearing. I have to listen to him for everything, and if I don't listen to him, he will get angry. What's going on with the Shao family? Yihua, who was preparing to leave, suddenly stopped his footsteps, then turned his head around and looked towards Qinya. What did you say? Qinya asked calmly, how did you get that money back then? Dong Huang Baiji, who was at the side, revealed a puzzled look. After all, back then, she wasn't present yet, thus she didn't know about these matters. Yihua let out a breath, then said indifferently, didn't I tell you in the past that I asked someone to go and get the money back? Just go and get the money back? Qinya asked faintly. In actuality, she was also very nervous in her heart. She didn't want Yihua to be related to Nangong Sini's death. Yihua looked at Qinya and asked gravely, Qinya, what exactly are you trying to say? Is that Nangong Sini's death related to you? Qinya asked, her heart was in her throat. Yihua naturally remembered that Nangong Sini, then said gravely, if you have something to say, just say it, don't beat around the bush. I heard that it was your subordinate who forced Nangong Sini to death, and he is only collecting interest. Is this what you requested, or did he do it on his own? Dong Wang Baiji, who was at the side, was startled. There was actually such a thing. Yihua looked at Qinya in disbelief. What does this mean? Is she here to blame me? His anger that had originally calmed down immediately soared. That's right. It is what I requested, it is only right and proper for someone to repay their debt. Back then, I gave them 3 days of time, and it was they who didn't cherish it. I am already giving them a lot of face by not killing their entire family. Yihua didn't have any intention to hide anything from Yihua. Right now, he didn't want to hide anything, there was no need for him to do so. After hearing the answer, Qinya revealed a disappointed look. I didn't expect that it was really Yihua's order, and my mind was in a bit of a mess. Meanwhile, Dong Huang Baiji didn't know what to say, and thus, she remained silent. Looking at Qinya's disappointed look, Yihua felt very uncomfortable in his heart as he asked, Qinya, are you blaming me? I shouldn't have treated them like that. Qinya didn't mean it like that, and she said tenderly, Yihua, although they are in the wrong, we can still talk about it. There is no need to force a child's mother to death. After hearing what Qinya said, Yihua sneered, Qinya, are you blaming me for killing the innocent? Yihua, I am not blaming you, I just hope that in the future, you can think from another perspective, and not let your emotions affect your decisions. Qingye persuaded attentively. In actuality, she just didn't want to see Yihua killing people indiscriminately, just like how Yihua was asking for a debt. If Yihua killed Xiao Yi, Qingye wouldn't have anything to say about it. However, if Yihua killed an innocent mother, Qingye would have no choice but to tell her husband not to do such a thing in the future. Qingye, you are truly too naive. If I was slightly weaker, do you think that Xiao Yi would let me off? Do you think that he would let you off? Let me tell you. He wouldn't, he would even use the same method to make me suffer. How could Qingye not know what Yihua was thinking? Qingye said faintly, Yihua, I know what you are trying to say. Let's not do those shameful things, alright? Qingye would rather see Yihua openly go and look for his enemy than to see Yihua secretly torturing his enemy using innocent people. You are saying that I am shameful. This time, Yihua was really angered by Qingye. Donghuang Baiji hurriedly said, Yihua, Qingye didn't mean it like that, you misunderstood her. Didn't your subordinate, the black robe, violate a sect master? Qingye didn't like Yihua being like this. It is obvious that I am in the wrong, yet I am still acting as if I am in the right. Donghuang Baiji was very astonished. Yihua's subordinate violated a sect master? The two wives looked at Yihua with a questioning gaze at the same time. Yihua's heart turned cold. In your eyes, am I that kind of person? To think that I, the Supreme Overlord, had to put in so much effort to save the two of you. Yihua let out an ice-cold voice and said, if I were to say that they are currently in love with each other, would you believe me? The two wives didn't say anything. It was clear that they didn't believe him. At this moment, Yihua's heart seemed to have been deeply pierced by the two women in front of him. As wives, they don't even believe in their husband's words. Just how disappointing is this? Chapter 345. Yihua sat on the chair, and a vicious aura was being emitted out from his body. This caused Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to be very worried, but there was nothing they could do. No matter what, I have to make Yihua change a little and stop treating human life as a game. Right now, Yihua was very disappointed in Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, extremely disappointed. As my wife, not only did they not do their duty well, they even helped an outsider to reprimand me. They didn't even believe his words. This was absolutely intolerable. Don't expect me to put on a show again, that's absolutely impossible. Last time, I was at fault, and in order to redeem myself, I admitted it. But this time, don't even think about it. The three of them sat in the hall and did not speak, and Yihua was smoking one cigarette after another. After quite a while, space distorted, and Death Mage and Sun Fang appeared at the scene. GGG, Royal Translator, Boss. Sun Fang also greeted respectfully, Boss. Wei Chang had already instructed them to skip the honorific and just call him Boss. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji looked towards the black robe. They never expected that the black robe would actually be a skeleton. His hair stood on end. Dare I ask, how did a skeleton humiliate the beauty beside him? Both Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were stupefied. Go ahead and ask. Yihua said coldly. Sun Fang said to the two ladies, Madams, I am Sun Fang, the previous sect master of Cloud's sect. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were very puzzled. Why would such a beautiful woman be on good terms with a skeleton? This isn't an act, right? Madams, you can ask me if you have any questions. It needs to type to speak, so it's rather slow, Sun Fang said softly. Death Mage took out his phone and typed a few words, then showed his phone. I can't talk. This time, the two women were even more shocked. A skeleton that couldn't speak, how could there be such a woman? What was wrong with this world? Qingye looked towards the angry Yihua and felt that her brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. Sun Fang, did he violate you before? Qingye asked curiously. Sun Fang nodded. Yes. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's expression immediately changed. However, Sun Fang continued, however, I did it voluntarily. The two girls were embarrassed. Seeing the two madams' confusion, Sun Fang naturally knew that back in the Ying family, there were many people who had the same question. Why did such a beautiful person end up with a skeleton? Sun Fang actually wanted to say that the little skeleton's body was tough and she couldn't beat it in any way. The two madams must be very puzzled. Actually, I don't know why I like skeletons either. He doesn't even have a single piece of meat on his body. Even when I hug him, he's stiff. But it can make me laugh and make me feel better. Isn't this the feeling that we women have always wanted? Love knows no race. Although it sometimes angers me, it can quickly coax me. I still have to praise it for this. Looking at the blissful smile on Sun Fang's face, the two women felt that she wasn't lying, but they still couldn't believe it. Look at others, then look at yourselves. Yi Hua, who was sitting at the side, said coldly. How good is my subordinate's wife? My subordinate's wife and my subordinate's wife are so loving and have never quarreled with each other. Looking at my own wife, I really can't compare her with my subordinate's wife. Alright, regarding this matter, Qingye felt that she had misunderstood Yi Hua. She finally let out a sigh of relief in her heart. After all, Yi Hua didn't help the evildoer. However, Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, said with a taut face, Yi Hua, I have always wanted to ask you, how did you get those things in the storage room? Last time, when Donghuang Baiji saw those things, she was very shocked. However, in the end, she didn't ask about it anymore. During this period of time, she had been too sweet and had forgotten about it. Now that she remembered about it, she decided to ask about it. Yi Hua pointed at Death Mage, he sent them over. Donghuang Baiji looked towards Death Mage and asked, how did you get those betrothal gifts? Death Mage was very honest. After all, it was the madam who asked about it. Death Mage typed on his phone, and soon after, his phone lit up. 2 words. Snatched. After taking a look, Yi Hua said faintly, well snatched. GGG, Imperial Translation, thank you, Your Honor, for your praise. Donghuang Baiji's face immediately sunk as she asked, where is he? Death Mage continued typing. It was still 2 words. Killed. Yi Hua said faintly, well killed. My husband's men killed my subordinates. My husband was still cheering at the side. Donghuang Baiji shouted out, Yi Hua. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Yi Hua stood up and looked at Donghuang Baiji, what do you want me to explain? Without my permission, you actually went to send betrothal gifts. Fortunately, my subordinates coincidentally snatched the betrothal gifts. If not, you would have given me a green hat. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Donghuang Baiji was actually speechless. However, she still felt uncomfortable in her heart, but your subordinates killed my subordinates. Baiji, if you didn't go and send betrothal gifts, would your subordinates have died? Could it be that you want my subordinates to take the blame? Yi Hua shouted out coldly. He didn't look like a madam at all. Donghuang Baiji stared at Yi Hua, seemingly wanting Yi Hua to give her an explanation. In any case, I am the Empress of Voidless Realm. Since my subordinates died in vain, I should at least seek justice for them, right? In actuality, if Yi Hua were to apologize right now, everything would be fine. With just a bit of cowardice, the 2 beauties would be in his arms again. However, this time, Yi Hua wouldn't pamper them anymore. Baiji. What kind of expression is that? Could it be that you want me to punish my subordinates? Yi Hua shouted out sternly. Shouldn't it be? Donghuang Baiji asked back. Yi Hua could be considered to be quite angered by the 2 women today. He said gravely, Qingye, Baiji, let me tell the two of you, that is impossible. There is no need for me, Yihua, to ask the two of you what I do. You. Donghuang Baiji was also angered by Yihua. Qinya pulled on to Donghuang Baiji and said lightly to Yihua, Yihua, can we both calm down for a bit? Calm down. I will never calm down in my entire life. I will do whatever I have to do. Seeing that Yihua's emotions were very great, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji discussed with each other in a low voice. In the end, Qinya said, Yihua, Baiji, and I will go to Voidless Realm to stay for a period of time. You should properly think about it. After thinking it through, come to Voidless Realm and look for us. Yihua was angered to the point that he laughed. You two want to leave again. You two are truly treating my doting as donkey's liver and lungs. Yihua shouted out coldly, fine. All of you, scram. Do you all really think that I will die without the two of you? Seeing Yihua acting like this, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji couldn't bear to see Yihua acting like this. After all, Yihua had sacrificed a lot for them. However, Yihua truly had a lot of bad habits. For the sake of the future, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji felt that there was a need for Yihua to properly think about it. Donghuang Baiji said calmly, Yihua, I will bring Ali back to Voidless Realm first. After you think it through, come and bring us back. Yihua, there are actually a lot of things that can be properly solved. Qinya persuaded tenderly. Yihua stamped on the cigarette butt and said gravely, Qinya. Baiji. I will prove to the two of you that those theories of yours are completely bullshit. Seeing that Yihua was still acting like this, the two women let out a sigh, then disappeared from the hall. Seeing that his wives had disappeared, Yihua picked up the wine bottle and smashed it onto the ground. Those two foolish women really left. Chapter 346. Death Mage and Sun Fang also left silently. Right now, His Honor's mood is definitely not good. I heard that His Honor would threaten his subordinates to break up with him for no reason at all. Right now, His Honor is not having a good time, and His Honor will definitely not let this subordinate have a good time. Brother-in-law, Li was taken away by her mother. Qin Yutong suddenly ran over. Got it, do as you wish. Yihua shouted out gravely. What about my big sister? Qin Yutong asked weakly. All of them ran away from home. After finished speaking, Yihua lit a cigarette and went upstairs. Sitting on the sofa in the office, Yihua decided on one thing. I'm going to let them see that the so-called mercy is actually just a joke. In actuality, Yihua should be rejoicing. This was only a small part of the secret that was discovered by Qinya. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji would never say that they would wait for you. However, that was no longer important. Yihua extinguished the cigarette butt, and his gaze was deep and eerie. I, the Supreme Overlord, want you all to beg me to come back. I will also let you know that there is no such thing as mercy in this world. With the caress of the large hand, the office began to distort and gradually turned into another scene. No one knew when the sofa had turned into a throne, but this was a throne piled up with skeletons. Among them were human skulls, huge orc skulls, rare elven skulls, and even dragon skulls. All the skulls were intertwined together, forming a terrifying and sinister throne. Right now, Yihua had already shed off his physical body and revealed his most primitive state. However, very quickly, a set of 7-colored divine light armor materialized on his body. The surrounding darkness was lit up by the divine light. Multicolored light lingered around the darkness, raging flames surged and rolled, and waves of overflowing aura seemed as if it was going to devour the entire world. Meanwhile, the palace that was illuminated by the rainbow divine light also revealed its original appearance. This was Yihua's former meeting hall. The long passageway was so dark that the end couldn't be seen. The floor was covered with a bright red carpet made from the bodies of young crystal dragons. This long tunnel had basically slaughtered the entire crystal dragon race. As for the huge pillar, it was the body of the ancient anaconda that had been placed there after it had been petrified. As for those innumerable pillars, it was unknown how many ancient giant pythons had died. The entire palace was built with all kinds of strange corpses. It exuded a cold and gloomy aura. If a normal person came here, they would definitely be scared to death. Because even if these divine beasts were dead, their power still remained. Yihua was sitting on the throne of skeletons, and his index finger was tapping on the skull of an elf. If he did not remember wrongly, this skull was the skull of an elf queen. Wei Chang. Lai Gu. Absolute heaven. Yi Zizi. Yihua shouted gravely. Hearing that his honor had summoned them with a different tone, the 7 deadly sins did not dare to be negligent in the slightest, and all of them rushed over. This time, his honor was no longer cleaning the toilet in the bar. Instead, his honor had returned to the royal palace. This caused the hearts of his honor's 4 subordinates to sink. This time, his honor is truly angry. Subordinates, pay respect to your honor. The 7 deadly sins did not dare to be careless in the slightest as they respectfully greeted Yihua, who was seated on the throne. The evil aura that was being emitted out from Yihua's body unconsciously. Even though it was a god beast that had already died, Yihua still seemed to be afraid of Yihua. Your honor, please quell your anger. The 4 men hurriedly kneeled onto the ground. For his honor to be angry, it is definitely our fault. Yihua slowly said, I had thought that I would be able to enjoy my life for a few days, but it seems like it was still an extravagant hope. The 4 men remained silent. After a long while, Wei Chang said coldly, Shao family has to take full responsibility for this matter. If your honor allows it, subordinate will go and exterminate the entire Shao family right now and offer their heads to your honor. Yihua looked at Wei Chang, then said gravely, No. This time, my target is not Shao family, but voidless realm. The 7 deadly sins were startled, not understanding what his honor meant. Your honor, Madame Donghuang is the empress of voidless realm, and your honor's target is voidless realm. Zhu Tian still didn't know what was going on, and he was still puzzled. Lai Gu and Yi Zizi didn't say anything, fearing that they would say something wrong. Yihua snorted coldly. Zhu Tian immediately bowed down to express his apology. The 2 madams still don't know how deep the water in this world is. If that's the case, I will give them a good lesson. Yihua's tone was just like a cold spring from hell, causing one's hair to stand on end. Originally, I planned to let the North and South fight against each other, but after the South suffered disastrous losses, I have a new plan. The eyes of the 4 men lit up, especially Yi Zizi. Yihua said coldly, I want all of the powers in the north to attack Voidless Realm willingly. Lai Gu hurriedly said, Your honor, are we going to show off our acting skills on stage again? No. This time, we will not move. The 4 men were immediately stupefied, not knowing what his honor was trying to do. I want to let them know a principle, no matter how good they are to anyone, for their own benefit. Benevolence is nothing. Zhu Tian understood what his honor meant. The 2 madams are definitely kind-hearted, and they angered his honor. Thus, his honor wants to teach the 2 madams a lesson and let them understand the truth of blood. Your honor, leave this matter to subordinate. Zhu Tian bowed down and said. He was willing to be the leader this time. With Zhu Tian being the leader, Yihua was rather at ease. Zhu Tian. Go ahead and do it, let them know what cruelty is. What betrayal is. What the human heart is. Subordinate understands. Zhu Tian decided that this time, he will definitely do it beautifully and make his honor satisfied. Yihua said faintly, let's start with Shao family. I want Qinya to take the initiative to kill everyone in Shao family. Also, go and investigate the case of Dongfang family from 100 years ago. I want to see how many people they can protect. This time, Yi Hua was being serious. Women cannot be spoiled too much. If I spoil them too much, they will go to heaven. This time, Yi Hua's intention was very simple, but it was very difficult to carry it out. For example, if I want Qingye to take the initiative to slaughter Xiao family, I will need a reason. This time, not only was this a lesson for the two wives, it was also a test for Yi Hua himself. Subordinate will obey your honor's command. Yi Hua slowly stood up, then warned, don't treat them as your madams. Just do what you need to do. I will not allow them to throw a tantrum anymore. Yes. If they can't even pass such a small obstacle, they aren't worthy to be your madams. After finished speaking, Yi Hua disappeared from the throne. After Yi Hua left, the four men looked at each other. In the past, they were enemies, and this time, the enemies are indeed the two madams. Furthermore, to let the two madams have a taste of all kinds of things, the difficulty is not just a small one. I still have to go to school tomorrow. I will be going back to sleep. After speaking, Yi Zizi disappeared. Lai Gu let out a sigh. His honor is angry this time. That's right, this time, the difficulty is even greater than acting. Wei Chang sighed. Zhu Tian's expression didn't have much fluctuation as he said indifferently, his honor's way of doing things is correct, the two madams' benevolence is the same as being cruel to themselves. After all, we don't need merciful madams. Chapter 347. Wei Chang and Lai Gu nodded their heads, expressing that they agreed with Wei Chang's viewpoint. All right, you two have a nice chat. I'll go back and be a warrior on the bed. Let me know if you make any big moves. After speaking, Lai Gu also disappeared from the palace hall. It feels so good to return to this familiar place. This smell of blood is really addicting, causing me to feel restless. Only Wei Chang and Absolute Heaven remained in the empty hall. Let me know if you need any manpower. Lai Gu was very generous. Recently, the demons and ghosts in Long and City were more or less cleared out by his underlings, and the two of them were extremely bored. Absolute Heaven did not stand on ceremony. All right. Your honor's mission this time around is rather difficult, you have to pay attention to it. Wei Chang couldn't help but remind Yi Hua. Absolute Heaven also knew how difficult this matter was. Relax, have you all forgotten what I used to do? Wei Chang laughed lightly. Thinking about it, Absolute Heaven had brought despair to mankind in the past. Only, this time, his target had changed to the two madams. This time, his honor is truly heartless. I hope that the two madams will be able to hold on. All right, I'll be leaving first. I still have lessons to teach tomorrow, Zhu Tian said indifferently. Lai Gu teased, there should be a lot of beauties in Zijin University, aren't you going to consider? I'm not interested in women. After finished speaking, Zhu Tian left. This cold and detached temperament of his was even deeper than Yi Hua's, he was truly a cold and aloof Prince Charming. Wei Chang smiled. In the past, I wasn't interested in women, but after coming into contact with Tang Wei, I changed my mind. Right now, Yi Hua was standing beside the window and smoking a cigarette. Looking at the night sky of Long and City, his gaze was emitting out coldness. Brother-in-law. Qing Yutong knocked on the door and called out lightly. Yi Hua silently took a look at his sister-in-law, then turned his gaze towards the night sky. Qing Yutong pursed her lips, seemingly feeling that her brother-in-law had returned to his original state. During this period of time, brother-in-law had finally changed a little. He would even smile from time to time. It would probably be hard to see brother-in-law smile in the future. Brother-in-law, why don't you tell my sister and Bai Ji about your identity? They will understand. Qin Yutong naturally didn't want to see her big sister and brother-in-law fall out. After all, they were all a family, what was there to quarrel about? Even if there was a disagreement, wouldn't it be fine as long as everyone took a step back? Yihua said coldly, identity. Why not tell them? If I were to bring the two of them out, it would simply be a disgrace. Aren't you affected by your bloodline? The influence of my bloodline. Even if she doesn't have this bloodline, she's still the same. She's soft-hearted. Yihua flicked away the cigarette but that was in his hand, then sat down on the sofa. Coldness filled the space between Yihua's brows. This time, I will not let them off. Qin Yutong sat at Yihua's side and said attentively, in the past, Big Sister has never come into contact with these things, and I only know how to do business. Only after following brother-in-law did I come to know of some things. There has to be a process, right? I'm giving them the process right now. It will be a very unforgettable process. Qin Yutong also didn't want her big sister to suffer a lot of pain, thus Qin Yutong pulled onto her brother-in-law's arm and said coquettishly, brother-in-law, big sister still loves you, you have to be magnanimous, just punish her a little and it will be fine. Turning his head around, Yihua looked at his sister-in-law and said gravely, do you also want to experience the process? Oh, I forgot to turn off my computer. Brother-in-law, you should rest early and pretend that I didn't say anything. After finished speaking, Qin Yutong slipped away. Big sister, don't blame this little sister. This little sister has already pleaded for leniency for you, just that this time, you really angered brother-in-law. However, Qin Yutong also knew that brother-in-law wouldn't hurt big sister too much, he just wanted big sister to understand some principles, that's all. Although it was a bit cruel, it was still beneficial to big sister. If Qinyo was half as sensible as his little sister, Yihua wouldn't be so troubled. Looking at his sister-in-law leaving, Yihua leaned on the sofa and pondered. I have to let Qinye and Baiji understand that their benevolence will only be used by their enemies. Wei Chang. Yihua called out gravely. Very quickly, Wei Chang's figure appeared in the office. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Release the control over Shao family. Although Wei Chang was puzzled, he didn't dare to ask too much. Understood, subordinate will go and pass on the message right away. After Wei Chang left, Yihua lit up another cigarette, and his black pupils became deep. Shao family is making use of your kindness, then take a look at Shao family's true colors. During these few days, Shao Yi didn't sleep well, fearing that something would happen. Sitting in the pavilion in the courtyard, Shao Yi was wearing high-end silk pajamas and drinking tea. Brother Shao, you're not asleep yet. Shu Nan leisurely walked over and stood behind Shao Yi, massaging her husband. Shao Yi sighed, is doing this right or wrong? Brother Shao, things have already come to this. Why are you still thinking about right and wrong? Shu Nan said gently. One must know that Yihua felt that Shao family was somewhat useful, and thus, Yihua decided to make use of Shao family. This meant that Shao family had obtained Yihua's protection. To be able to obtain the protection of a supreme being was such a great honor. Unfortunately, the Shao family did not want to be a notch lower than others or be controlled by others. The consequences of such a decision were very serious. Just as the two of them were discussing this matter, the void twisted. Shao Yi and Shu Nan's faces sank and they quickly stood up. A lump of black fog appeared in front of the two people's eyes. Wei Chang wished that he could directly behead these two people. Back then, they ran over to his honor and begged for his life, and right now, they are stabbing his honor in the back. Shu Nan pulled her husband and Shao Yi helplessly knelt on the ground. I came here today just to pass on a message. In the future, I won't care about Shao family's matters anymore, you two better take care of yourselves. Hearing what Wei Chang said, Shao Yi and Shu Nan were immediately astonished. It's really effective. Could it be that this lump of black fog is Qingya's husband? That leisure bar's boss? Is he just not willing to reveal his true identity? You two are thinking too much. Yihua disdains to come here and say such things. However, since Wei Chang had already achieved his goal, Xiao Yi said gravely, "Thank you." Wei Chang spread out his palm, and Xiao Yi felt that there was a strange movement within his body. A trace of black fog could be seen coming out from Xiao Yi's body, and the black fog immediately fused with the black fog. After doing all that, Wei Chang left. What his honor can bestow upon you, he can also take back. Xiao Yi's face was pale and powerless, and his breathing was even more hurried. Just now, when that trace of black fog came out from his body, I felt that it took away a lot of my strength. Right now, I have returned back to my original strength. Brother Xiao. Shu Nan held on to her husband. Xiao Yi said weakly, "This is good as well, at least, I won't be restricted by others." Shu Nan didn't say anything, but he felt that the Xiao family had done a foolish thing. They were strong, but they didn't rely on them. Instead, they wanted to leave. In Voidless Realm, Qingya and Donghuang Baizhi were sitting in Ali's courtyard. The two of them had a look of hidden bitterness on their faces, just like a wife who ran away from home, and yet, her husband actually didn't chase after her. The two of them were indeed a bit arrogant. They thought that Yihua cared about them a lot, that he would spoil them a lot, and that he would change for them. Furthermore, they believed that after they came out from the Voidless Realm, Yihua would come and pick them up very soon. Qingya and Donghuang Baizhi had already thought of what to say to Yihua, but it was a pity that after waiting for 2 hours, Yihua still didn't come. "Mommy, when are we going home?" Donghuang Li, who was playing at the side, ran over while sweating profusely and asked. Donghuang Baizhi smiled tenderly, "Soon, Daddy will come and pick us up." Chapter 348. Sigh. Donghuang Baizhi let out a deep sigh, then said, "Qingya, are we being too impulsive?" Qingya was very confused. "Before I left, I already told Yihua to come and find me, and I will definitely go back, but it has already been so long, and he still hasn't come back. Let's wait a while more, Yihua can't let go of his face." Another 2 hours passed by, and it was already midnight. Donghuang Li was already sleeping in her mother's embrace. Meanwhile, Qingya and Donghuang Baizhi were still waiting foolishly. "Qingya, you understand Yihua a bit, why isn't he coming yet?" Donghuang Baizhi asked. "When I found out that my subordinate was killed by Yihua's subordinate, I was furious, and Yihua didn't apologize to me at all. Now that I think about it, I am also in the wrong. Who asked me to send the betrothal gift out of anger? If the betrothal gift really arrived, wouldn't I be finished?" That was why Donghuang Baizhi felt depressed. "If Yihua didn't come and find me, I wouldn't be able to get out of this embarrassing situation." Qingya sighed lightly. "Yihua is really angry this time." "Ah, then what should we do?" Donghuang Baizhi cried out in surprise. "Based on my understanding of Yihua, he is definitely thinking of a way to let us go back by ourselves." Qingya understood Yihua's personality, and she guessed correctly. Donghuang Baizhi pouted her mouth. "I won't go back unless he comes and picks me up. He is also sure that we won't go back by ourselves, and he will definitely think of a way." Qingya laughed bitterly. "We are both your wives, can't you even coax us?" "Think of what way?" Qingya said. "Do you know why Xiao family suddenly withdrew from the aristocratic family selection?" "Why?" "That was arranged by Yihua." Donghuang Baizhi was startled. Why would Yihua interfere in Xiao family's matter? "I also don't know what he is playing at." Qingya let out a breath and stood up. "Oh right, I just remembered, that morning, Yihua even asked me to approve Tang family selection." Donghuang Baizhi suddenly recalled what happened that morning. This made Qingya recall the auction that night, was it Yi Hua who asked you to approve Tang family selection? That's right. That morning, Yi Hua had said it to me. I felt that it was just a small matter, so I went along with what he said. Dong Huang Baiji wrinkled her brows, feeling that Yi Hua was secretly planning something. Not only did the Shao clan withdraw, but they also arranged for the Tang clan to intervene. The two women were confused. Qinya, Yi Hua couldn't be setting up a trap, right? Dong Huang Baiji asked gravely. However, there has to be a reason for all of this, right? You are the Empress, and furthermore, you are his wife, and you are the one who is in charge of the entire North. There is no need for him to do all of this. Qinya was completely clueless about what Yi Hua was trying to do. Dong Huang Baiji guessed, Yi Hua likes to stay at home, and he doesn't seem to be someone who is obsessed with power. However, why would he interfere in this aristocratic family's election? In the past, that subordinate of Yi Hua had also interfered with the South's matters, and it was precisely the fight over the ancient godly item. On that day, I was camping with Yi Hua. Now that I think about it, it seems like Yi Hua had an ulterior motive. The more Qinya thought about it, the more she felt that it was strange. Qinya, you are saying that not only did Yi Hua interfere with the North, he also interfered with the South. Then, are the recent events that happened in the South related to Yi Hua? Dong Huang Baiji didn't dare to believe it. The more she continued to speculate, the more she felt that Yi Hua was a mystery. Qinya shook her head, I don't know. Then, what if it is true? Dong Huang Baiji's hypothesis caused Qinya to be a bit confused. After a long while, Qinya said gravely, if it was really done by Yi Hua, I will slowly change him, and I will not leave him. What about you? Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. Ali is already so big, and it wasn't easy for me to find my daddy, I will naturally not leave him either. The two women looked at each other and smiled. For them, Yi Hua was even willing to give up his life, and they would naturally not leave him either. Husbands have to be slowly taught. Yi Hua expressed that he wouldn't take the blame. However, Zhu Tian was, after all, Yi Hua's subordinate, and it was impossible for him to not take the blame for those family extermination massacres. Then, how are we going to change Yi Hua's personality? At the very least, we have to get rid of those crooked principles. Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. I reckon that Yi Hua wants to prove those crooked principles, and that's why he will start with those families. What we have to do is to let Yi Hua know that this world isn't like what he thinks it is. Although there are bad people in this world, most of them are still good people. Dong Huang Baiji's eyes shone. Qinya, are you saying that the two of us should join hands to deal with Yi Hua? Qinya smiled, aren't you very excited? A bit. What if we lose? If we lose, we will obediently go home and beg for forgiveness. If we win, Yi Hua will become an obedient baby in the future. Dong Huang Baiji smiled sweetly, and immediately became incomparably beautiful. I like to see Yi Hua become an obedient baby. I like it too. The two wives were like-minded, and they were prepared to turn a demon king into an obedient baby. One couldn't help but admire their courage. Furthermore, their thinking was too simple. Qinya, who only knew how to fight in a business war, and the Empress who had never been through any big storms, how could they possibly be Yi Hua's opponent? After all, Yi Hua was someone who had been through hundreds of battles, a man who had rolled around in piles of corpses. This was a contest between husband and wife, and the entire North was the chessboard. Looking at the current situation, Dong Huang Baiji had the upper hand. After all, she was the Empress of Voidless Realm, and if Yi Hua wanted to get involved, he would have to start from his family. Dong Huang Baiji would be able to obtain the information in time, and then take action. And according to Dong Huang Baiji's guess, Yi Hua was preparing to start from Tang family. If Yi Hua were to know of Dong Huang Baiji's guess, he would definitely shout out loud at Dong Huang Baiji. How could I be so obvious? Even if I were to sit at home and not do anything, I would still be able to teach the two of you a lesson. On this night, Yihua was destined to hug his quilt and sleep. If I had known that this would be the case, would have slept with Donghuang Baiji and let her know how formidable I am. If you two have the ability, don't come back. This time, I will definitely let them see how formidable I am. After that, obediently admit their wrongs and serve me well, and maybe, I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I will not let you two have a good time. Zijin City was the center of China, and Zijin University had a very long history. Zijin University was also very famous in the world. Zijin University was a university that all students yearned to attend, and Zijin University attracted a lot of international students. In the morning, the campus was filled with the fragrance of fresh flowers, and the green grass was like a cushion. Everywhere was filled with the fragrance of flowers, and one after another, modern school buildings rose from the ground. Youthful and energetic university students were walking on the tree-shaded path with a happy smile on their faces. This kind of carefree university life would end after they graduate, and at that time, despair would begin. Quick, quick, look over there, beauties. A freshman shouted out while pointing at two girls that were not far away from them. Chapter 349. Why does that girl look so weak? I really want to go and protect her. The freshman sighed. This was the first time he had seen such a girl, and he couldn't help but feel sorry for her. There are many people who want to protect her. You are not the only one. The senior said disdainfully. Not only these two were whispering, but other students were also discussing. This girl had a natural desire to be protected, and they couldn't bear to see her get hurt. This person was Dongfang Yu, and next to her was her best friend, Song Xiaoxiao. Compared to Dongfang Yu, Song Xiaoxiao wasn't so outstanding, but beside a beauty, there would always be green leaves. It wasn't that Song Xiaoxiao wasn't beautiful, but she was inferior. Of course, the relationship between the two was very good, like sisters. Our school hired a super cold professor. Song Xiaoxiao held Dongfang Yu's arm and laughed exaggeratedly, even gesturing with her hands. Dongfang Yu was thinking about things and didn't hear what Song Xiaoxiao said. It's the open class of the Cold Prince Charming. Let's go early and get a seat. I heard that the class of the Cold Prince Charming is full of women. Song Xiaoxiao's face was full of infatuation. These days, she went late and didn't even get a seat. She could only see the elegant demeanor of the Prince Charming on the school forum. So cold, so cool. Dongfang Yu still didn't respond, looking very heavy. What are you thinking about? Song Xiaoxiao shook Dongfang Yu and said. Dongfang Yu came back to her senses and smiled. Oh, nothing. Why did you become stupid after the summer vacation? I'll take you to see handsome men. I heard that looking at handsome men can stimulate brain cells and achieve the goal of longevity. Dongfang Yu said softly, I'm not going, you go. This summer vacation was a nightmare for Dongfang Yu. She was sold by her mother to the Bai family and was even insulted by Bai Qi. Only by returning to this school could she feel a little safer. Listening to Dongfang Yu's tone, Song Xiaoxiao was depressed. She had a loud voice, and Dongfang Yu's voice was very low and soft. Even if they were quarreling, she would use such a tone. But it was this that would arouse the desire of men to protect her. Come with me. I'm afraid I'll look ugly if I go alone, Song Xiaoxiao pleaded. She seemed to be saying that if he didn't come with her, she would cry. Looking at her friend's pleading, Dongfang Yu couldn't bear to refuse. She was such a girl. Even if she was hurt, she didn't want to see others get hurt. Her mother sold her to the Bai family, but she didn't say anything. All right. Dongfang Yu chuckled. That's great. Let's run. Otherwise, we won't be able to get a seat. With that, Song Xiao pulled Dongfang Yu and ran. Immediately, the boys drooled as they watched. This beautiful lady was really exciting when she ran. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, and it made people's hearts skip a beat. Especially that thing that was moving up and down. I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. Litly, slow down. Dongfang Yuan's face turned red after jogging for a while. Her weak body couldn't keep up. They didn't stop until they reached the classroom door. Fortunately, we ran fast, or else there wouldn't be any seats left. Song Xiao patted her chest, while Dongfang Yu had a helpless expression. Dongfang Yu was not interested in handsome guys, and only studying could make her forget many things. The spacious classroom's occupancy rate had reached 70%, and there was still half an hour before the class started. Just as the two were about to sit down, a gorgeous girl frowned and shouted, "There's someone here." Song Xiao wasn't like Dongfang Yu. "There's no one here. You're clearly taking up a seat." "That's right. I'm taking up a seat. What can you do?" Dongfang Yu pulled Song Xiao and said softly, "Let's sit at the side." Song Xiao glared at the girl and sat at the side with Dongfang Yu. The seat just now was in the middle, and the view was very good. Suddenly, the sound of high heels rang out. Everyone couldn't help but look back. It turned out to be the campus belle, Guan Yanxin. This woman had the height of a model. She had fair skin and a hot figure. She wore a tight red dress that seemed to be specially worn. Her arrogance was like that of an empress. Some of the freshmen were whispering. "I heard that this Guan Yanxin's background is very deep. I heard it when I first came to school. It said that those who provoked her all dropped out. Lower your voice, don't let others hear you. If not, you won't have a good ending." Guan Yanxin could be seen sitting at the seat just now, and the beautiful girl beside her seemed to be her attendant. "TSK, what are you being arrogant for?" Song Xiao pouted her mouth. Dongfang Yu said softly, "All right, don't be angry anymore." Song Xiao could only sulk. From this angle, she could only see her Adonis's side view. Tens of minutes later, the aloof Adonis finally arrived. Zhu Tian could be seen wearing a pure white suit. His handsome hairstyle matched with a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. Adding on the ice-cold aura that was being emitted from his entire body, it caused the students to go crazy. Walking into the classroom, Zhu Tian coldly swept his gaze across the classroom. As expected, all of the students are females. Why didn't I realize that I have such allure in the past? When the students saw that Zhu Tian had arrived, everyone in the classroom gasped, as if they were about to orgasm. As for Zhu Tian, he didn't feel the slightest bit of emotion as he slowly walked towards the rostrum. Not only did the girls not feel disgusted by his actions, they instead adored him even more. While looking at the group of girls, Zhu Tian didn't want to talk nonsense. After all, he had been very busy recently, and he had to make a series of plans for his honors mission. "Do you know what you all came here to learn today?" Zhu Tian placed his hands behind his back and asked. This action of his caused the girls to become dumbfounded. Song Xiao raised both of her fists and said infatuatedly, so handsome, so handsome." Dongfang Yu remained unmoved, she only wanted to listen to the content of the lecture. Guan Yanxin appeared calm, but her gaze carried a strong sense of dominance, as if she wanted to train this man into a kitten. The fangirls that were present were all stupefied. How could they hear anything else? "You, speak." Zhu Tian pointed at Guan Yanxin and said. Guan Yanxin slowly stood up. Her graceful posture showed that she had a good upbringing. "I came to see you, Professor." Guan Yanxin was very daring and directly started flirting with Zhu Tian. The fangirls all had a look of disdain on their faces. Shameless, you actually dare to seduce our aloof Adonis. Zhu Tian took a look at Guan Yinxin, then indicated for her to sit down. Afterward, he pointed at Dongfang Yue and asked, "What are you doing here?" Even though he was clearly asking Dongfang Yue, Song Xiao, who was at the side, was extremely excited. Dongfang Yue stood up and said tenderly, "I am here to listen to a lecture." Everyone in the classroom sighed. Even a beauty like Guan Yinxin came here for the professor, yet you said that you are here to listen to a lecture. Are you even a woman? Chapter 350. Zhu Tian nodded. The latter slowly sat down, not feeling that Zhu Tian was handsome at all. "What is hypnosis in your eyes?" Zhu Tian asked indifferently. A girl shouted, "Professor, I'm willing to be hypnotized by you and then do illegal things to me." TSK. This was even more daring. The audience sighed. This shamelessness had reached a certain level. Zhu Tian was not angry and said indifferently, "Hypnosis is a science. For example, you were all hypnotized by me, but you didn't know it." Zhu Tian had learned very quickly these few days. He immediately stirred up the atmosphere and changed the topic of looking at handsome guys to hypnosis. Of course, the fans did not believe it. Zhu Tian looked at Guan Yinxin and said indifferently, "Do you believe it?" "No." Guan Yinxin shook her head. Zhu Tian then looked at Dongfang Yu. "What about you?" Dongfang Yu shook her head. "The two of you, come on stage." Dongfang Yu and Guan Yinxin were puzzled, but they still stood up and went on stage. It was rare to see two school beauties going on stage at the same time. "Professor, are you trying to hypnotize me?" Guan Yinxin was quite open, while Dongfang Yu was much quieter. Zhu Tian did not look at Guan Yinxin, but looked at the students. "As I said, they have already been hypnotized by me, but they just don't know it." "Professor, don't just say no." "That's right, at least let us two school beauties perform." "How about a girl kiss?" "We'll believe it then." Zhu Tian ignored them and said to Dongfang Yu and Guan Yinxin, "Lift up your hair." The two campus belles flipped up their hair, and their expressions were normal. It couldn't be any more normal. "Professor Zhu, this is too fake." A middle-aged man walked toward the podium. He was also a hypnosis professor, but no one attended his class. Zhu Tian's class was full every day, so he wanted to teach him a lesson. Zhu Tian said indifferently, "Professor Liu, what can I do for you?" "I don't dare to teach, I just don't want to see the students being deceived." Professor Liu said loudly, as if he wanted to expose the fact that Zhu Tian was a liar. Zhu Tian did not care and said indifferently, "How do you want to prove that I am a liar?" "Naturally, by hypnosis." Professor Liu was full of confidence. "Sure." Seeing that Zhu Tian had agreed, Professor Liu looked at the two campus belles. They were really beautiful. This Professor Zhu really knew how to play. He didn't call others campus belles and only called them campus belles. If they were hypnotized, he would be able to touch them a few times. Wouldn't that be great? "They've already been hypnotized by me. You should find them from outside the classroom." Professor Liu was amused by this sentence. This is the reaction after being hypnotized. You should go lie to elementary school students. "Come here." Zhu Tian crooked his finger at the two school beauties. "Director Wang, don't misunderstand. I came here today to form an alliance." Xiao Yi revealed his purpose. Right now, forming an alliance was the only way out, and it was also the best way. Bai Cixin said indifferently, "Why should I agree with you?" "Because we have the same enemy, Tang family." Xiao Yi said coldly. A strange smile appeared on Bai Cixin's face as she said, "Indeed." When Wang Debao heard that Xiao Yi didn't come to seduce his wife, but to form an alliance, he felt much more at ease. Furthermore, I, Wang Debao, have great martial arts, and my wife is already unable to free herself. Both Xiao and Bai family had ancient godly items. If they were to fight, they would have a huge advantage. In the Tangshan alliance, only Tang family had ancient godly items. Chen Xuanzong didn't, so they would be at a disadvantage. But don't forget about Tang Wushuang's teacher, Gue Qinren. This was equivalent to having a walking ancient godly item. At this moment, a round, middle-aged man appeared at the scene. This was the patriarch of Guan family, Guan Tong. This person's height was less than 1.7 meters, but his body was very fat. Looking from afar, he looked like a walking rubber ball. But don't be blinded by his fat body. After all, he was the patriarch of one of the 5 great families. If he didn't have some skills, how could he sit in this position? Patriarch Guan. Patriarch Guan. Patriarch Guan. All the patriarchs greeted him passionately. Guan Tong was very happy too. But when he saw his daughter was actually nestling in a man's embrace, his fat face immediately darkened. If Jiang family's people saw this scene, what marriage was there to talk about? "My father is here." Guan Yinxin immediately left Zhu Tian's embrace. It seemed like she was still a little afraid of her father. Zhu Tian asked softly, "Do you still dare to gamble?" Chapter 353. I dare. Zhu Tian nodded his head, "You go first." Ah. Zhu Tian did not explain and directly blended into the crowd, causing Guan Yinxin to be dumbfounded. "Yinxin, who was that man just now?" Guan Tong walked over and questioned. Guan Yinxin said in a deep voice, "My boyfriend. Do you know what day it is today? Do you have to choose this day to anger father?" Guan Tong bellowed in anger, his daughter's actions were smearing the family's name. "I have to decide my own marriage." Guan Yinxin was very firm, she was better than Dongfang Yu, or in this aspect, she would resist. However, this kind of resistance was useless, you still want to decide your own marriage. Where did your boyfriend go? Does he have the guts to stand out? Guan Yinxin looked around and realized that Zhu Tian had disappeared. Did he run away in fear? He even asked me if I dared to do it, but he actually dared to run away. So timid. I originally thought that he was a man, but I didn't expect him to be acting. Look, your boyfriend is only so-so. He ran away the moment father came, it can be seen how despicable he is. Guan Tong naturally did not want his daughter to follow an ordinary person or an ordinary family, so a marriage with the Jiang family was the most important thing. Guan Yinxin sighed deeply, she had misjudged. She really regretted saying those words just now. Alright, don't be sad, Jiang Zhua is also a good boy, you will know after you interact with him. Guan Yinxin was silent, she seemed to have given up. Guan Tong patted his daughter's shoulder, "Yinxin, father knows your thoughts, but being born in the Guan family, there are many things that can't be helped, father was the same back then." "Father, I understand." Guan Yinxin said dejectedly, her gaze was still searching the crowd, but she really did not see Zhu Tian. At this moment, Zhu Tian was contacting Wei Chang through the safe passage. Because there were some things that Zhu Tian did not know how to do, such as making a woman willingly help him. "Zhu Tian, I have also thought about this question for a long time." Wei Chang's tone was filled with helplessness. Recently, Xiao Tang had returned to school and stayed in the dormitory at night, he had not seen her for a few days. This made Wei Chang very uneasy. This Xiao Tang could not be angry, right? Lil Tang was indeed very angry. I've already shared the same bed with you, but you haven't had any reaction all day. Is it because I'm not pretty enough? Obviously not, but Uncle Wei just didn't touch her. She was sad, thinking that Uncle Wei didn't like her at all. Zhu Tian asked curiously, then, what conclusion did you come to? I can tell. Women like to fool around and do some inexplicable things. When Wei Chang thought of the things that Tang Wei did every day, he became puzzled. Tang Wei was hinting at you crazily, yet you didn't react at all. Don't tell me you want a girl to directly expose you. Zhu Tian said faintly, today, I met two crucial women. However, I don't know how to make them die for me. I am unable to help you with this problem. Lai Gu seems to know a lot more. After all, only Lai Gu is able to maintain his relationship very well. Wei Chang thought about it and agreed with what His Honor said. His Honor's relationship problems are happening every single day, and I also have conflicts with Tang Bingyao. That little green and Zi Shan still haven't slept together on the same bed, and only Lai Gu and his 3 wives are the most harmonious with each other. And of course, there is also Death Mage and Sun Fang. These 2 couples were simply role models. Alright. Zhu Tian cut off his connection with Wei Chang and immediately contacted Lai Gu. Right now, Lai Gu was doing his best to fulfill his duties. He was still lying on the bed with a satisfied look on his face along with Bai Xiaozhen, while Lai Gu was currently satisfying Wen Xia, who was below him. Lai Gu, can I ask you something? Zhu Tian asked. Lai Gu said while gasping for breath, what is it? How do you make a woman do things for you willingly? Lai Gu said gravely, is there even a need to think about it? Just do it with all your might. What for? Zhu Tian had a puzzled look on his face. What are you talking about? What else can I do? If you want a woman to be obedient, you have to make her obedient. This was Lai Gu's theory, and also the conclusion he came up with. Look at my 3 wives, I will do whatever I say. If they don't listen to me, I will do it until they listen to me. This has been tried and tested. In actuality, this set of dominoes theory was something that Yihua could imitate and directly make them lie on the ground. Why would I have the energy to blame you? Zhu Tian tightly wrinkled his brows. Will this work? You can just listen to me, but His Honor just doesn't listen to me. Your 2 wives are still causing all sorts of trouble. These words are rather reasonable. Zhu Tian said, let me think about it then. Alright, you think about it yourself, I am still busy right now. After ending the call, Lai Gu seemed to have turned into a small electric motor, and the frequency of his massage increased, causing Wen Xia to moan endlessly. My massage technique is getting better and better. In the entire team, Lai Gu was the happiest. Of course, there were also Lai Gu's wives, who were enjoying their husband's treatment. Zhu Tian leaned on the staircase's handrail and let out a deep breath. Do I really have to sacrifice my body? I feel like I have suffered a loss. However, for His Honor's command, even if I have to sacrifice my body, I will not hesitate. Just that, how am I supposed to do it? Zhu Tian had no choice but to seek help from Baidu. Drugging, forcing alcohol, picking up corpses, and all sorts of strange methods. This caused Zhu Tian to shake his head. These methods are too despicable.